How to claim tax sale overages. By the end of this video, you'll learn to navigate the two different processes for claiming tax sale overages and how to avoid losing the money by missing an often unadvertised deadline. And be sure to stay tuned until the end, because at the end of this video, I'm going to give you access to a free resource where you can go deeper into the overages business, learn how it works from making the claims to finding the people owed the money to finding the list of monies that are owed. I'll give you free access to training on that, so make sure you stay on till the end. Claiming tax sale overages is probably easier than you think. And there are two primary ways to do it. I'm going to go over both of those in this video. One really doesn't cost a penny. The other does have some costs, and you can tell which claims have costs versus which ones don't. So I'm going to show you how to distinguish between those two on this video. There is a strict deadline to apply for the funds. Statute of limitations, as we say in the law. It's very important you know what it is, because if you don't get in your claim by the statute of limitations, then you can't make the claim and they'll just say, sorry, we already took the money so you can't have it. So it's really important to do that, and stay on to the end and I'll give you access to a free resource where you can learn about those deadlines and get access to a whole list of them. Claiming tax sale overages is straightforward, and today I'm going to show you the ropes. So let's get on to it. There are two processes for claiming tax sale overages. There's number one, an administrative process, and number two, a judicial process. The administrative process means that you're essentially filling in a form, you're turning it into the agency that's holding the funds, they process the claim, and as long as you're working with a proper claimant, typically the former homeowner, then they cut you a check. So that's the administrative process. There's no cost to submit it. There's no processing fee or anything like that. So those are great. Very low cost to process, really no cost to process. The second type of claim is a judicial claim. Judicial means court claim, like think judge, judicial. So court claims do cost money to put in. And in our business, when we do judicial claims, which we do regularly, we're budgeting $2,500 as potential cost on those claims. Generally, that's more than enough. Of course, we have some cases that are much cheaper, some that can get worse. So when you're starting out in the business, especially if you're maybe not that knowledgeable yet, or maybe not that well funded because you haven't made a bunch of money yet, you may want to consider only pursuing claims that are administrative in nature, because the administrative claims don't cost you anything to put in. Judicial claims do. That being said, we'll save a little bit more on that for later. But let's talk more about administrative claims. So generally, you're going to see the administrative claim form on the website where you get the overages list. So you can download the list. Usually there's a link where they will give you access to the forms also. You'll see they're very simple forms to fill out. It has information like what's the address of the property, when was it sold, what tax sale are we talking about. All that the county is looking to do is pull the tax sale file. So that has a file number associated with it. They also can access it by former owner name. They can access it by property address. So essentially that form is helping the county to pull the file. And then you're saying on the form, well, who is this that's making a claim for the money? The people that can make a claim for the money are, first of all, of course, the former homeowners, but also any lien holder. And this is lien holders like mortgage companies, mechanics liens holders. Like if someone had put a roof on the house and never gotten paid for it, well, they could file what's called a mechanics lien, and that person could come and claim the money. What I'll tell you is that it's pretty rare for creditors to ever make any claims. Mortgage companies sometimes do. People like mechanics lien holders, I really don't see them ever making claims. First of all, there aren't many of them, just to start with, but also they don't know how this works. This is a very much under the cover business. It's not a business that people know about. People don't think about what happens to the money generated from a tax sale. People just generally assume property got sold at the tax sale, it's gone. They don't understand that when the property that sells at tax sale sells for more than the amount of taxes, the county takes the tax money, no question about that. They take that. But anything that's left over is up for grabs, and that's the very fundamental reason for this business. So when you get the list of tax sale overages, which are like the lists that I'll have the editor pop on the screen, you could just see a couple of examples. You can see on those lists that there's lists of exactly how much money they're holding, and those numbers are accurate, by the way. It's very rare that they would ever be wrong. It's just the amount of money that the county is sitting on after the property was sold at tax sale. That can be called overages, can be called excess funds, can be called overbids, goes by a few different names, but essentially just it's money left over when the property was sold at tax sale for more than the debt. That happens literally with pretty much every time it's what they call an improved property. What improved means is it's got a building or a structure on it. Typically, it's going to be a house. Those are the ones you're typically dealing with. But these days could be a commercial property. We have lots of commercial landlords that are having a really tough time. If you rent office space or you have a mall, they're having a tough time. And I'm seeing those properties get lost at tax sale. You can work with them, although I think when you start out, you're probably going to work with the former homeowners. It's people that lost the house and just really need some help. And when you get the list, you contact them, and then they say yes, then you're going to turn in your claim. And basically the judicial versus administrative claim process splits here. If the money's being held in court, which in a few states, like for example, Delaware is the place that always holds them in court. When it's held in court, you need a lawyer to file something called a petition. And the petition is just a request to the court to release the money. You need a lawyer to do that. You can't do that unless you're a lawyer. So those are the ones where you have to budget for money being put out. So you may not want to start there. You may want to start in an administrative claim state. And for those of you that get involved with my training, which I have, we have a whole list of that because I'm an attorney. I did the research in all 50 states. I know how it works everywhere, where it works, where it doesn't work, where the issues are. But let me just give you this. When you look at your lists, if the money is being held by an agency like the tax collector, that's going to be an administrative claim, especially if you look on the website and you have the claim form. So that's going to give you that answer. So you fill in the form, you turn it in. Typically, it's going to take a couple months for them to process the claim. Now, you might wonder, why would it take a couple months? Like, they know how much money is left over, and like, why does it take time? I wondered that when I first entered this business about 10 years ago. And what I discovered is that they double check everything before they give out the money. So they check that the school taxes were paid. Any municipal services like water, sewer, grass cutting fines, all those are paid for. And what they do is they contact each of the agencies. Like if I'm the clerk that's processing that claim, I'm going to reach out to the school tax collector and say, hey, can I get confirmation that you were paid for the 2024 school taxes from this tax sale? And they want to get a receipt back in the file. And there are typically 7 or 8 different departments they need to contact, like the building inspector. They need to contact, do you have any outstanding liens? Oftentimes there's nothing, but they have to check. So that takes some time, and then that is going to get prepared by the clerk. Everything's put together, receipts are in the file. That's passed to a supervisor. Supervisor checks it out, says, okay, this all looks good. They typically pass it off to someone else that's going to ultimately cut the check, and that person checks everything. They have 3 people checking just to avoid fraud, because there's millions and millions of dollars sitting in these accounts, and it would be really tempting for someone who's dishonest to go and write themselves checks with fake claims. So of course they have like 3 people signing off on it to minimize that chance. And when I say there are millions of dollars, we have an internal database, has $348 million in it right now. That's a screenshot of our database, over 14,000 claims. We're covering all of 15 states out of 50. So it gives you an idea of how big this field is. We stopped collecting because I can't even chase after 14,000 leads where new ones come in every day from the tax sales that happen, about 3,000 tax sales a day. So I see no purpose in pursuing any more. We actually have way more than we can even take. But what that means for you is that there's great opportunity in this business because as one state study showed, over 70% of the money doesn't get claimed. According to statewide study, about 28% gets claimed, about 72% never gets claimed and just stays with the state. And it eventually forfeits through this process called escheatment where they keep it permanently. So you want to get out there and get on these things. You're going to get your lists. You're going to look up the contact information. You're going to reach out to people, tell them the good news that there's some money you found. Now, of course, you're not telling them exactly where it is. That's not your job. Your job is to offer a service in getting the money. So you tell them, hey, there's some money I found. Would you be interested? These are people that are in such bad financial shape that they've lost their house to tax sale. So it's pretty tempting to work with you and get some money, right? Because they are in such bad shape, they lost the roof over their head. So you work past the natural skepticism that they're going to have because they're thinking, could this really happen for me? You spend some time. For those of you who get involved with our training, we have a call script and training on that. But for the purpose of today, think about rapport building some trust, talking to people a couple of times, and think about talking to someone that you really sincerely want to help. The best person for this business is someone who really has the heart for helping. We have lots of people that are retired nurses, retired medical people, or just good-hearted people that really say, you know what, I really like to help people. I love Robin Hood. I'd like to be Robin Hood and go get the money for people that just really need it and it's wrongfully being taken by the government. You can be that, but it's Robin Hood without the bows and arrows and not having to run anybody through with a sword, which is wonderful. So I think it's a really great business, amazing, like feel-good business where you're helping people that have really lost everything. They're down flat on their backs financially. You're reaching out to them, offering the hand up. And in exchange for that, you get a nice reward so you can run a business. year after year. This is a business that you're really helping people and you're getting rewarded financially yourself, which is really a terrific business. Love the business. So if this sounds interesting to you, then what I'd suggest is go watch my next video, which is an intro to the Overages business. There I dive deep into how this business works and how you can make this your own business. That training is totally free. That's only a 10 to 15 minute video. It's not long. And after that, I have an additional resource. If you decide, yeah, I really am interested in this, I want to dive deep, there's a longer video that also is completely free. There's no charge for it, where you can really dive in deep because you want to know if this is a business you're interested in, does it appeal to you at the gut? And I would say, to me, it appealed to me at my gut because I thought, I get to help people who've really lost so much and I make a great living and I have something I can really be proud of and kind of like peacock around a bit because I'm helping people and really making money in the best way, which is serving people and helping them and doing something you're proud of. So I love this business and I'd love to teach you this business. There's so much room in it. It really bothers me on a fundamental level that we're sitting with $348 million worth of claims. And if I get 10 million of that, I'd be happy. And that means there's 338 million. And we're not even, again, we're covering 15 states. So there's lots out there. I need more people doing this. My personal sort of stretch goal, I would love to see people that have taught this business getting 100 million of that money per year back to people. Because by the way, there are new tax sales every day. So things always new money piling in. I'd love to see $100 million of that being given back. I'd like to see people making $30 to $40 million, which is 30 to 40%, which is typically what we charge. So I'd like to have 1,000 people out there doing that. I would love that. So this is my invitation to you to check out this business. It's really good and it's really amazing. And I promise to treat you right. So go watch the free video. It's free intro, 10 to 15 minutes. That'll get you deeper. And then from there, you'll get an opportunity to get even deeper training. And maybe you found exactly what you're looking for. Maybe you'll join our band of merry men and women, by the way. Old and young, you're all invited. Black and white, everybody's invited. I don't care who you are. I care that you have a good heart. So let's go forward together. Go watch that free video and I'll see you over there.